Welcome to In Edina, a program about the people, places, and activities all about the city of Edina. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald, bringing you this special holiday broadcast from Bachman's beautiful growing range in Farmington, Minnesota. And joining us to talk about this great place is Jack Geyen, Director of Production. You are so lucky to have this as your office. Wow, welcome to In Edina.
Thank you, Lillian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wow, and this is fantastic. The site is just, it's too beautiful to believe right now, I tell you that. You've been doing this work for Bachman's as Director of Production for many years.
Correct. I've been here for 25 years at this location, actually about 36 years for Bachman's already. So.
Wow, and your dad was in this business too, right?
Right. I pretty much grew up in the greenhouse business. So.
Wow, that's great. Now, as Director of Production, that means you're responsible for making sure all these beautiful poinsettias are ready to bloom for consumers in time for the holiday season, which means you've been working on this almost an entire year.
Correct. Not quite a year, but we're not thinking about poinsettias about a month and a half of the year, basically. We actually ordered these cuttings back in February. They started arriving in June, and that's when we started rooting them up. It's an unrooted cutting that we get. And it takes about 4 to 5 weeks to get them rooted up enough to transplant into their final containers.
And where do you get all these cuttings from? They come from breeders, right?
Correct. There's our main supplier is the Paul Ecke Ranch out of California, but there is the Fishers, there's Newmans, there's Selecta. So there's all sorts of different breeders that we can get the cuttings from. Mm-hmm. They're grown in California, Mexico, South America is where we're getting them.
So once the plants have sort of set up their roots, then you're going to put them into their container pots that they actually travel home in eventually.
Correct. After about 4 to 5 weeks, they get transplanted up into their final container, anywhere from 6 plants to 1 plant in a container. From there, they'll root up. Takes about 2 weeks before they're ready to get big enough or enough roots developed that we can actually do a pinch on them. After the pinch, it's about another 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the size of the container, before they're ready to either shade artificially or naturally, depending on the time of the year.
Let's talk about that shading process, because that's key for poinsettia plants. And that shading process is a darkened area. They need extra sleep time.
Correct. Poinsettias need 12 and a half hours of night, 11 and a half hours of day to go reproductive, which means they'll change the leaf color, bracts colors. For the early season ones that we want in the middle of November, like these behind us, we're shaded in about September 10th to get them to that stage. The natural season for poinsettias is about September 20th. For any time after that, they'll actually be a natural reproductive time for them.
Sure, because there's less light anyway.
Correct.
Right? But
yep.
You have to sort of speed that process up by putting them in a dark room, basically, for longer time.
For the plants that we need in earlier November, because the natural, mostly it's about end of November before they will actually be colored natural season.
Sure.
So if we need something earlier, we have to do
and
the
this
shading
doesn't
process.
matter if they're red, if they're white, if they're pink, any of the varieties.
Any of the varieties will, if you want them earlier, you have to do it. There is a lot of breeding going on, so varieties will turn color earlier, but we still do some of the varieties that we do, we have to shade. So.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, these containers are absolutely gorgeous, by the way, well done. But you're actually shaping them throughout this entire process.
Well, the pinch is based on how many bracts you want at the end, so it depends on how high you're pinching them and stuff. So these plants, we try to get 5 to 7 breaks per plant, and this one has 2 plants in it, so there's going to be about 14, 15 flowers on it.
Wow, it's gorgeous. Now, as a consumer, we water from here in the top, right? But you're actually watering from the bottom, just sort of get this process going.
Right. This particular area is an ebb and flood area where the water, the bench floods and the water actually wicks up from underneath. The consumer is going to want to water it from the top and just kind of drain out any salts or something that might have built up into the plant. Mm-hmm. Most plants that you'll get in the home will have a decorative container on it, so you're going to want to let that water drain through into that container, and after about 10 minutes to a half hour, take it out of its decorative container, dump out that excess water, and put it back in there just so it's not going to sit in a puddle of water.
Now, poinsettia plants, you can buy these, throughout the holiday season. What all am I looking for to pick out a perfect poinsettia?
Well, a really nice grown poinsettia is going to have big bracts up here on top. The bracts if you grow it warmer, they're going to expand out more, so you get more flower power from it. The centers or the cyathea are going to still be intact. They're not going to be blown out or over-pollinated. You'll see some pollen on them. And you're going to want leaves all the way down the side of the plant. That just means it hasn't been dried out too much. Anytime you dry out a poinsettia, it's going to shorten its life.
Wow, fantastic work here. So how long will they last? I mean, if you really take care of them, can they last beyond Christmas?
Oh, they can last way beyond Christmas. Mine in my house last year, you actually kind of throw them away when you get tired of them. Ours lasted till the middle of March, and I said I've seen it long enough. So.
Oh, it's so nice to have color in the wintertime. And
Yeah.
so these are absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
Yeah. Jack, great work.
Thank you.
I know this is a really busy time for you. Thanks a lot for telling us your story and telling us how to pick out a good poinsettia plant and for letting us be here.
You're welcome, and it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Lots of folks like to travel during the holiday season, and whether you're going across town or out of the country, it's important you keep your home safe and sound while you're away. Joining us to tell us how just to do that is Crime Prevention Coordinator Kaylin Martin from the City of Edina. Happy holidays to you.
You too.
Thanks so much for joining us. Isn't this a gorgeous place?
Yes, it is. Lovely.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, there's some things to do before you go out of town, and to be sure your home is safe and sound. And the first thing is tell somebody, which seems a little counterintuitive, but it's important to let someone know.
Right. A trusted neighbor. Let them know that you're going to be out of town. Let them know and how long and when you'll return.
And what about phone numbers? I like to give my neighbor my phone number just in case they need to get a hold of me.
Where you'll be staying, cell phone numbers. Maybe if you have animals, leave the vet number if they're taking care of them.
Good idea. Now, when you trust a neighbor to watch your home, you're actually trusting them to help keep your routine, sort of, so that folks that could be watching your home think nothing is going wrong.
Exactly. Have them drive up and down your driveway a couple times so there's tracks in the snow. Or just have them park a car there. Make sure they take in the newspaper and mail, and while they're inside, open and close the blinds so it looks like somebody's still home.
Yeah, so somebody who might be casing the neighborhood is looking for just that, signs that there is nobody home, day or night, right?
Right.
So when a neighbor is taking care of things, and if they come into the home and leave the mail and leave the newspapers in your home, or just stop it altogether?
Yeah, if you don't have a neighbor available to come over because there's a lot of people out of town over the holiday.
Right. What can you do in your home if you don't have a neighbor who's available to keep a watch out for you?
Set up timers on a couple lamps, maybe one downstairs, one upstairs, and have them go on at night and then off in the day. Set up timers for a TV or a radio. Make sure they're not on all the time, but just periodically.
So you're talking about keeping some noise in the house then, so that it sounds active.
Right, but make sure you turn your phone ringer down or off, because an unanswered phone is a sign that no one's home.
Wow, okay. So, and of course, check the windows and doors to be sure they're triple locked as best you can. And you should also call the police and let them know that you're going to be gone. Isn't that a lot to keep track of?
No, our dispatch will take down your information, how long you're going to be gone and when you are going to return. And if a neighbor calls about something going on in property around your house or your home, the police will know, oh, nobody's home. Let's go check this out. This is kind of suspicious.
So police departments keep track of in and out activity for travel time anyway, and that's how they'll know. Now let's say, unfortunately, because it does happen, you can do the best prevention, but unfortunately someone does make a break-in. Let's say you come home and you think something has happened. You're not sure, but you think something has happened. What's the first thing to do?
Just call the police. You call them and let them know that you think somebody was in your home. They'll come out and talk to you, file a report, even if nothing was missing. The police department likes to know what's going on in the city.
You're doing data tracking too for the City of Edina. Part of your job is to keep data on crime statistics. So it's important that they have a record of what's going on, even if you're not sure. I remember one time I had a neighbor park their car in my driveway, and I didn't know it. And I came home and called the police because I wasn't sure. Whose car is this?
Right.
And it turned out to be a neighbor who just, again, wondered if I was out of town, which is why communication is so important.
Oh, very.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and the holiday safety tips. Hope you have a nice holiday.
You too.
Well, it's time to make the season bright, and lots of folks do just that, but with some energy-saving tips. Product manager Kim Sherman is here from Xcel Energy. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. You too.
I love the festive season, and I love the lights, but I do want to be responsible too when I take care of my lighting the Christmas tree, lighting the house, day and night, all season long. You're bringing us some tips to help us save some energy. And of course, there's lots of things folks can do, winterizing their homes with the windows and the doors and whatnot. But in focusing just on lighting and starting from the outside, what are some things we can be aware of as consumers to save energy?
Well, if you're using holiday lights, you have to know that your electricity bill is going to go up a little bit. But there are some ways that you can save energy. LED lights are very prevalent on the market now. You can find them at just about any retailer. If you're using just a few strands of lights, you're not going to see a lot of dollar savings. But if you're lighting up your whole yard, you'll see quite a bit of savings in LED lights.
Yeah, it's fun to go by and see the homeowners that have really decked up their houses with lights. And I've put lights up on mine too, many strands at a time. But with the LED lights, you pay a little bit more up front, right?
Right.
But the savings does come over time.
Right. They do save you energy. They last quite a bit longer than incandescent lights. And they're more durable. So you can take them down and reuse them from time to time, and you know, from year to year, and you don't have all the issues that you would have with an incandescent
And they're
bulb.
made with special products that just create the LED and the savings over time. And I do like the fact that they are more durable, because it does seem like, especially outdoor lighting, you're constantly replacing bulbs and lights and strings.
Exactly.
And keeping them going.
Exactly.
Now, indoor, of course, Christmas tree lights. That's something else on the tree. It'll depend on the number of strings that you put on as well, right?
And the good thing about LED lighting on a Christmas tree is LED lights are cooler. They run cooler, so they don't heat up like the incandescent lights on the tree.
Which can also be a danger on real trees,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, indoor lighting for the homes. You recommend several different products, and there's quite a changeover right now in just bulbs for different lights. What are some things we can think of?
Well, energy efficiency CFLs, they're going to save you 75% energy just for one individual bulb. They use about 25% of the energy of an incandescent bulb. They last 6 to 10 times longer. So for one bulb, you will see about $5 in savings per bulb per year.
And that adds up over time. Now, tell me if I'm wrong on this. When you turn these lights on, is there a bit of a delay?
Some of them have a bit of delay.
But we're talking milliseconds here.
Right. You know, usually just a second or two, less than 10 seconds, certainly.
And what's happening? Is the light just sort of warming up then to get it going? Or
yeah, it just takes a minute to warm up. Some of the lights will come on instantly.
Yeah, but they do last longer. I've been in the process of switching these over in my home. And I don't know if it's in my head or not, but they seem brighter too. Does that make sense?
Well, some of them are brighter. It just depends on, you know, what you're replacing.
Okay.
But they're more versatile than ever. They used to be real large
big,
back, 10 years ago, but now they're so small that they fit just about anywhere, and they come in a wide variety. There are floods, and these are, you know, they almost look like incandescent bulbs.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that. These are actually just like these. Why is there different shapes? Does that really matter?
Well, they come in different shapes and sizes.
Okay. So mechanically, there's no difference. It's just for utility use.
Right. And they also, you'll start to see some LED bulbs out on the market. This is a chandelier LED bulb. It's quite high priced at this point in time, but the price is coming down, and they're also becoming more versatile.
All right, so this is a process of changing the light bulbs over time for several dollars saving a year. Exactly. Pay a little bit up front, but realize the difference in savings over time. Some other simple tips: turn the light off when you're done. I know my family was telling me that when I was young growing up. Turn the light off when you're finished, right?
Yeah, well, I'm constantly telling my kids that.
So these are some habits that we can change and some small prices to pay for savings over time on our electric bill this holiday season. Thanks so much. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you. You too.
Every month, In Edina features a volunteer whose contributions make a difference in our community. This month, we feature a volunteer who spends her time collecting gifts for children who at Christmas might not have anything to open if it wasn't for her. When the siren goes off, Edina firefighters gear up and go. While crews race to the scene,
Yeah, is that doable?
Ruth Schmall stays back, working behind the scenes to be sure paperwork, payroll, and people have what they need to respond in an emergency.
The boring stuff that somebody needs to do.
For 30 years, Schmall has done it all, including a little investigative work.
When I was working here in the late 70s, people kept bringing in old toys to the fire station, and I could not figure out why they were doing this.
The toys trickled in, one doll, one train, one Lego set at a time.
The community's very good about just new toys.
Until Schmall figured it out. Edina's fire station fills an urgent need of a different kind by joining ranks throughout the Twin Cities by serving as a drop-off site, collecting toys for children who might go without during the holidays.
I'm excited because our fire department and the police department at City Hall are the major source of toys collected for VEEP.
VEEP, or Volunteers Enlisted to Assist People, is a nonprofit agency serving low-income families, individuals, elderly, and disabled persons in Bloomington, Edina, Richfield, and South Minneapolis. From Thanksgiving till Christmas, Schmall makes urgent calls for toys so she can make several holiday runs from the fire station to VEEP, where thousands of donations become anonymous gifts for babies, toddlers, boys, girls, and teens.
Teenagers, the thing that they're really going with now are gift cards, $15 gift cards to any store.
Today's tough times are making holidays a bit more challenging for more families. But with Schmall's volunteer work and Edina's many gifts, there is hope. This Christmas will be a little brighter for many in need.
And so I'm helping other people feel good, and that makes me feel good. So it's a great thing for our community.
If you've got a toy that you'd like to donate this holiday season, please drop it off at the City of Edina Fire Station on Tracy Avenue or contact VEEP for more information. We'd like to thank you for watching, and special thanks to Bachman's for letting us bring you this holiday broadcast from their beautiful growing range in Farmington, Minnesota. Thanks to all of our guests for appearing on this program. We hope you have a beautiful and safe holiday season. Until next time, I'm your host, Lillian McDonald. You've been watching In Edina. Make it a great day.